Okay, we're going to do a little bit of review. We started off with a big idea, and the big idea is this. Everybody deserves a strong, healthy, supportive family. Let that sink in. Because let's be honest with ourselves, we can get a little judgmental. Okay, we can decide certain people don't deserve that. And so we're going to suspend our judgmentalism on everybody tonight and just say, no, everybody deserves a strong, healthy, supportive family. And the reason that that word everybody is important is because the second big idea is I deserve a strong, healthy, supportive family. Now, let me ask you this question. Which one of those two is the harder to embrace? Okay? The fact that everybody, regardless of where they've been, who they are, what they've done, they still deserve a strong, healthy, supportive family. Or the idea that, wait a minute, I deserve that. That's okay for me to have, even considering where I've been, what I've done, all the experiences, the family roots and all that. No. It's okay for me to have a strong, healthy, supportive family, and it can be built. It's not how do you get a family, well, two people get together, kid, boom, family. Okay? No, families can be built, and again, I brought my dad up because I saw him do it. The family that my dad grew up in was very different from the family that I grew up in. And so I will tell you, you can change the family tree in one branch. Okay? And then you look at our branch of the family, and scattered throughout the rest of the family, there's alcoholism, there's depression, there's suicide, there's all sorts of things. But there were a few things that my parents did that made it skip a generation at least. You know, and a lot of it came back with my kids, and we've parented through a lot of stuff. So this is real life principles that we're going to give you. So the good news, everybody deserves a strong, healthy, supportive family. I deserve a strong, healthy, supportive family. Here's the bad news. In order to build a strong, healthy, supportive family, I have to be a strong, healthy, supportive person. This is not how can I get my mom to change? How can I get my kids to behave? How can I get somebody else to do what I want them to do? I don't have a formula for that. And for those of you that have tried, well, maybe if I love them enough, or maybe if I'm stricter, or maybe if I'm softer, I can get someone else to change. No. This is about each of us going, I'm going to become the person who is strong and healthy and supportive. I am going to be the one that brings that to my family. That's the perspective. That's the hope that we want to give, kind of the dream that we want to plant. All right, so last week what is a family? And we went over the concept that not all relatives are family and not all family are relatives. So the things that you want to look for, your family is made up of people that give you a sense of belonging. Okay? My church introduced me last week as our very own Steve, and I was like, yeah, they're like claiming me, like I belong with them, which felt kind of nice. All the FOA shirts and the logos, what's that all about? That's about a sense of belonging. The people that give you unconditional acceptance, and we said accepting a person does not mean accepting everything they do. But unconditional acceptance is it doesn't matter what you've done, the relationship stands. We still accept you. When we're parenting teenagers, the free phone call will pick you up, no questions asked. That's acceptance. Robert Frost saying, home is the place that when you have to go there, they have to take you in. Okay? So there's that difference. So when you find unconditional acceptance, when people that are supportive in their relationships, who are the people that are cheering for you to win? That want to see you succeed? The people that are on your team. Enemies, people trying to trip you up, yeah, that's not family. but the people that when you succeed, they feel good about it. And where, Lord, you had such a mom look this morning. It was, or this evening. I mean, just like looking around and it's like, this is my family. These are my, and just watching you personally respond to all of the victories and success was very cool to watch. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. And the reason we bring these up, if you grew up in a family without these things, you may be going, I don't know how to do family. I don't want to reproduce the family I grew up in. I didn't have good role models. That's why we're giving some of these basic things, like how do you get started? Last one, shared significant experiences. Those are good and bad. High points, low points, you go through them together. People that you're sitting there going, hey, remember that time when we, and it's like, yeah, that was cool. Or remember that time when we, yeah, I can't believe we made it through that. Look at where we are now considering where we have been in the past. And then finally, the people that spend time with you. You don't get instant family. You have to put the time in. So I want you to look at that list, and I want you to think of the names of the people that you consider to be your family. Okay, come up with at least one name. I got one person in my life. I feel like I belong with them. They unconditionally accept me. They're supportive. We've been through some stuff, and the relationship has some time. If you have, let me know if you have one, put up one finger. If you have 2, 3, 4, up to 5 fingers per hand, that's just the way we're designed. No, seriously, because I want you to be thinking of people when we talk about building a family. So I've got five plus that I can think of. You got 5 plus. Everybody wants to you got a team, you got 4. Think through the names, the faces, and the people that give this to you, okay? There's a subtitle to this series called Building the Family You Want with the People That You Have. And that's where we're going. That's why that's important. So given those people, those names and those faces that hang out with you, that function as your family, what do you have to do to make that group of people into a strong, healthy, supportive family? We have 4 essential skills. If you do these things, your family will get stronger and healthier, and it will be more supportive. And I've made them as simple and memorable as I can. Show up. Listen up. Speak up. And grow up. There it is. If you're a note taker and it's like, what were those 4 points? There they are, and my hope is that you can, we're going to go a little deeper on all of those, but my hope is that when you think of this and say, okay, wait, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Show up, listen up, speak up, grow up. That's the pattern that builds healthy families. All right, let's look into this a little bit. Show up is about presence. In order to build a family, you have got to be there. Showing up's half the battle, right? You showed up tonight. Give yourself credit. How many of you were on the verge before coming? Almost didn't come. Okay. You won that battle. That's how you build the family, on showing up and being present. Now, when you are there, in order to be there, you have to stay alive. Let me tell you why I put this one in here. It's another conversation that I had with my dad just a few years ago. And again, when you're growing up as a kid, you don't know what your parents are going through. You know the effects, the consequences. You have to deal with it, but you really don't understand it. A couple years ago, my dad and I were talking about, family, and I bounce a lot of this stuff off them. And we talked about some of the bad times. And he made this statement. He said, you guys don't know how often I almost didn't come home from work because I thought you would be better off without me. That's where this comes from. And so I want to stay up front. If you want to build that, you've got to stay alive. Because depending on where you're coming from in your recovery, mental health issues, there is a poisonous thought that will enter your mind. And the poisonous thought is this: they'd be better off without me. They'd be relieved. They'd be better off if I wasn't there. I ought to just do the world a favor, and probably no parent would be better than me, if I just take myself out. Let me say categorically that that statement is wrong. It is false. That's something else going on. And whenever you recognize that, I hope that you remember this meeting and go, wait a minute, that feeling, wow, I just screwed up again. I just disappointed everybody. I just let everybody down. I just lost it. I just said and did a bunch of things that I hate myself for, and I never thought I would do again, and I'm afraid I'm going to do them again, and I'm hopeless and worthless and helpless, and yeah, I'm just going to take myself out. No. Back in my pastor days, I did a lot of funerals. I haven't seen people at the funerals going, well, thank goodness that's over. Okay. So for a lot of people in their recovery, their moment of clarity is family. One of my closest friends, when I asked, what was your turning point? He said, I knew I was going to either lose my kids or I was going to lose my addiction. And I had to make a choice. And I couldn't live with myself if I lost my kids. So I had to get serious about my addiction. And I got it. In order to be there, when you are there, be sober. Okay? My day job is I work on a mental health inpatient unit, adolescent unit, was talking to some of the kids. And we were having the what's wrong with smoking pot discussion, which we have on a regular basis. But one of the kids asked, well, what happens if you do it with your parents? They do it and it's okay for them and they share it and we just all do it together. Okay? A question I like, do you like them as parents? When they're lighting up? Are they good parents? Are they doing things for you? Are they making eye contact? Are they engaged? Are they there? No. Okay, for the alcoholics, if you've grown up with alcoholic parents, the ones that are functioning, but the kids don't see them sober on a regular basis, really hard to be good as a parent. It's really hard to be good as a spouse, unless you're doing it sober. Some things in life, I'm a strong believer life itself has to be done sober. Okay. But when you show up, you got to make the step. It's like, I'm going to be clean there. At my church last Sunday, we do a lot of recovery celebrations. And there was somebody there that was also 2 years. And I think the picture was with a mom and a daughter, and the family was saying, we never thought we'd see it. We never thought we'd be taking this picture. And they got there. Be there, stay alive, be sober. When you are there, be present. Okay, one of the things we're dealing with now is distracted parenting. And there's a couple times I'm going to go on a rant because honestly, cell phones and smartphones are killing us. They are now. Everybody's going to go, okay, fine. They're great tools. But if you're going to build your family, you have to be present with them. Eye contact and focus and attention. If any of you are acquainted with ACT therapy, mindfulness, being present in the here and now, that's all important. And that can be thinking, yeah, I'm with my family, but I'm really thinking about doing or not doing something after this. I'm with my family or I'm at work. I'm with my family or I'm someplace else. And spending time being there, that presence is I'm engaging with you. I'll make eye contact with you. Okay? We're engaged right now. Okay? Fully present, in the moment, having a discussion. That's what presence looks like and feels like. Now, even if you can't find a way to be there, find a way to be there. This is where the technology works for you. Because there are times, like we're talking about new work jobs, it's like, well, that's going to take a lot of time. Find a way to communicate to the other family members. I may not be there, but I'm thinking about you. You are on your mind. I still care about you. I want to know how you're doing. My thoughts are with you. You can get creative with that one. My wife and I are old school. We do notes all the time. If we have to travel in separate directions, I'll throw a note under her pillow. She'll throw one in my suitcase. We still do lunchbox notes and all of that stuff. If you care about somebody and want them to know, you will find a way to tell them and let them know, I can't be there, but I want to be there. How many of you have seen a movie where the whole plot of the movie is the parents distracted? Are they going to make it to the kids' recital or to their game? Is the seat going to be full? Is the seat going to be empty? When there are good events and when there are bad events, kids take pictures in their mind. And what they remember is who was there, but sometimes what they remember more, who wasn't there. Where are you going to find the time? Now I'm going to go back on my cell phone rant again. Okay? Just read a study, I think it was done by Forbes. Average American is now spending about 11 hours a day in front of a screen. And I thought that was crazy. Till I started thinking about it. Okay, if you spend 8 hours a day at work in front of a screen, and then you watch an hour or two, if you hit Netflix, and then it's like, what time is it and how many episodes have I watched? You can lose hours that way. Add to that time spent looking at the cell phone. Once I started doing the inventory on it, I thought, you know what? They may not be that far off. So one of the best ways to find the time is to go, whatever screen we're watching, and I got nothing against screens, I'm using them. Instead of watching a screen, I'm going to watch a person. We're going to make eye contact. We're going to do something together. We're going to be in the same place at the same time. So number one, show up, be there. Remember that. Second one, listen up. Listen up is about communication. And the quote that I've got up there, seek to understand before seeking to be understood. That is not my quote. You can trace that back to Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a book I highly recommend. Actually, he got it from St. Francis of Assisi, if you want to go back that far. Here's the thing with communication. We all want to be understood. I just want them to understand me. I want them to understand how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. I want them to understand what I'm going through. But we don't spend as much time trying to understand someone else. So that's why I put the listen up one first. Communication is a combination of listening and talking. You have to do both at the same time, and if no one is listening, there's no communication. Am I communicating right now? I have no idea. If somebody's listening, yes, I am. If they're not, no, they're not. Here's how we had to learn this in our marriage. I'm a night person. My wife is a morning person. So early in our marriage, we'd be dozing off to sleep, and, it's honeymoon phase, and I'm just like pouring out my heart. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to be married to you. You're such a wonderful person. I love you so much. I just want to spend it, and I'd look over and she'd be sound asleep. I had poured out my heart. And next morning she'd be, sorry I fell asleep on you while you were talking. What did you say? And I'm like, yeah, that moment's gone. That's not going to happen. 10 o'clock, she turns off. She stops listening, doesn't matter what I say. Now, turnabout, she will try to talk to me and share important information in the morning before I've had my coffee. I can smile, I can nod, I can say yes. I didn't hear a word of it. Or worse, she would talk to me while I'm watching TV. Yeah. What did I just say? What? So in order to communicate, we had to establish that if there's one person talking, there's one person listening, and then you take turns. So I would have to go, if it's important, come in, say, honey, I'll mute the TV, probably turn it off is better for me. Make eye contact. It's like, now I'm listening. Tell me what you want me to know. and then I would get it and turn it back. When the other person stops listening, a good rule of communication is stop talking. Learned this with my kids. Learned it way too late. Have you been talking to somebody and you know they're not listening? They've given you the clues. You're still talking because you want to talk. You got stuff you want to say. And you're going to take the opportunity to say, they're not listening. And what are they hearing? Wah, 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 wah. And then you know they didn't hear what you say or care. And now you're more angry. And now even though they're not listening, you keep talking. There's a law of supply and demand in communication. Do you know what the law of supply and demand is? And I have to make sure I get this right. Think logically. Okay. When there's a high supply of something and a low demand, everybody has it and there's a lot of it and nobody wants it, it has no value. On the other hand, if everybody wants it and there's not very much of it, it has a very high value. Apply that to communication. Okay? If you're talk, and they don't care and they're not listening, then what you are saying has very little value. If, on the other hand, you wait until you are asked, then they're listening. And then the fewer words that you say have more value. The other thing to keep in mind, most communication is nonverbal. Let me give you some examples. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to communicate. What? Or yeah, you just shifted? Fine, I'm listening. Yeah, okay. When you know most of the communication is nonverbal, pay attention to it in the other person, but then pay attention to your own. You know, one of the things that I've had to do with my kids, we had this argument in my family about whether or not I was yelling. Anybody else? Yeah. Honey, don't yell at them. I'm not yelling. You want to hear yelling? I'll show you. What kind of communication is that? So after years of doing it wrong, I finally got to the point where it's like, if my wife thinks I'm yelling and my kids think I'm yelling, I'm yelling. Yeah. I need to take it down a notch. When I look at my wife and go, I have no idea what to say. And she go with that. Okay. Today with the house shopping, lots of thoughts, very few words. Because my son and I trigger each other constantly. I push all his buttons. He pushes all my buttons. How are you doing? Why are you bothering? It's like, really? That was the communication?